Hey everyone, and welcome you to today's webinar. My name is Peter Haller. I'm going to be your presenter and host today. So today's webinar, we're going to focus on how to create and manage your user stories and also how to validate those user stories with test cases in the Agile way. So today, this is going to be our agenda. So let me now walk you through of this. So after a short introduction of our company and Inland Software, I'm going to talk about the basics of the Agile development and how the requirements are driving the Agile development. And then how you can also manage the life cycle of the requirements life cycle in an Agile way by still keeping the full traceability by choosing the right ALM solution. Also, I'm going to show you some best practices, how you can work and manage your work in a collaborative way in Codebeamer, and also how you can not only focusing on the user stories and the tasks, but also how those are validated by the test. So I'm going to also focus on the quality assurance and testing in an Agile environment. So after this, after the slides, I'm going to get live into the tool, and I'm going to give you a short live demonstration. Before I get started, there's some information about the structure of this webinar. So after this quick introduction, I'm just gonna jump right into the live demonstration, which will be followed then by a question and answer session. So during at that time, and also during the webinar, at any point of time, please report your questions to the question panel on the right-hand side. And at the end, I will try to address all those questions. And if we would run out of time, I will get back to you via email, so your answers will be addressed and properly answered. And also once you are here, so having that said, this webinar will also be recorded and will be soon available after this webinar. So this will be uploaded to our inland.com/webinars website, where you will see also recordings of our previous webinars as well. So, and also whenever you're there, please feel free to register to our upcoming webinars. The next one is about how to replace IBM doors with Codebeamer in one single native interface, which is going to provide you the bidirectional synchronization of your requirements. And also note that we are currently at the Embedded World 2017 trade show in Nuremberg. So we are more than happy to see you at our booth. So you will be able to find us there as well this week until Thursday. So just quickly about our company, we are Inland Software. The company was founded in 1998 and headquartered in Stuttgart, Germany. Codebeamer is our one and only product, so we are the sole vendors and developers of this ALM solution. We also have an office in Silicon Valley, California. We are also in implementation partnership with Lufthansa Industry Solutions, and we have other resellers all around the world. So now I would like to start off by mentioning that one of the most important and fundamental aspects of developing the embedded software is the requirements management. Requirements engineering has a very significant role in managing and documenting software requirements and improving product development when they're used correctly. The efficiency and the accuracy of this process is vital for the project success. And bad requirements management is the single biggest reason for the project failure. In fact, the requirements are at the very root of the transition process that is considered by some as the revolutionary to the way we develop the software. This evolutionary process gave rise to the Agile, and thus requirements can be seen as the main driving force behind the Agile's growing adoption and popularity. So now that's the importance of the requirements management in software development, but doesn't need to be emphasized any further. So let's talk a bit more about the Agile. So the primary objective of Agile is to provide a way for development teams and companies to better serve the needs of their customers. Above all, the aim of any Agile development project is to deliver working software as fast as possible, where working actually means a product that is able to successfully resolve the customer's problems. In order to be able to deliver a solution, one must understand first what the problem is. That's why requirements management is, or at least should be, at the heart of any Agile project. The evolution of Agile, this increasingly popular modern software development framework, has been driven by the need to deliver better software solutions much faster. In order to increase the value of software products, you have to perfectly understand the problem they are supposed to resolve. Therefore, the clarity and the quality of requirements is fundamental to being agile. Yet, there is no agreed upon process of agile requirements management that is one could rely on. So let me continue by clarifying a few differences in the terminology, more specifically the difference between the requirements and the user stories, because I think these two can sometimes be confused. So the requirements are criteria like constraints, conditions, or capabilities that the system must adhere to. Good requirements need to be complete, testable, consistent, design-free, and unambiguous. Requirements presume that the design of the application is done beforehand and that development is the implementation of that design. Requirements therefore focus on how to implement the functionality, performance, and user experience and are differentiated through functional and non-functional requirements. A user story, on the other hand, just a promise to have a future conversation. It is not meant to document every aspect of the work as you might see in a series of traditional requirement statements. They are rather a reminder to collaborate about the topic of the user story. In other words, as defined in the Agile Manifesto, the documentation is secondary to the collaboration. User stories focus on what to achieve. They are a collaboration between a product person and a developer. User stories insist that the design of the product can be done at the last minute and the details are decided during the implementation based on the opportunities. User stories are typically told from the user's perspective, short and also to the point, written in plain language. And also the stories should describe the capability they want, speak to the reason for the change and the anticipated benefits, be delivered in whatever way the user wants, handwritten, email, sticky note, or whatever, and the user story is accompanied by the acceptance criteria. A good user story uses the INVEST model, which stands for the independent, making it easier to plan, negotiable, allowing details to be added during the collaboration, valuable, providing value for the customer, estimable, so that not too vague, small, meaning it can be done in about a week or less by the team, and having a good acceptance criteria or being testable. So the acceptance criteria are used to determine whether the user story has met the goal or the need of the user. It's important to keep in mind that involving testers or at least communicating decisions made by the product owner or customer, well, is a good idea, so the user stories don't lack the completeness. Most people argue that user stories by themselves replace the purpose of functional requirements, while well-defined acceptance criteria can take a role of a non-functional requirements, making the user stories complete. But again, there is no clear-cut process of agile requirements management. But one common practice is to have requirements and user stories together, because a user story is only meant to describe a feature, but not describe how to implement it, meaning leaving out the technical aspect. It should describe a behavior or flow from the user's perspective. Our development team internally at Intland uses the Scrum way of development, which is something that I will talk about more in detail a bit later. And in this case, we don't use any requirements. So what we do is we define the user stories, change requests, and the tasks. We receive our user stories and define acceptance criteria for each user story. If something needs to be changed, we track change requests separately. So in our case, the change requests are the most similar to requirements. So only they come later in the process, not at the beginning. That is the only difference. It's all about how you define your internal processes. Our user stories and change requests are then further decomposed into specific development tasks, each with a well-defined DODs, which stands for the definition of done. So if you are going to apply both requirements and user stories, requirements would be on a higher level in the hierarchy, and then the derived user stories out of those requirements. Actually, this is going to be the user story that I'm going to present you later. Okay, so now let's that we have clarified that, let's steer back to the requirements and the significance in Agile. So first of all, how does requirements management become Agile? Well, actually, it doesn't. So at least, like I said, there's no agreed upon comprehensive definition of the Agile requirements management. Agile requirements management is an evolving collection of practices. Most Agile methods have emerged with a focus on the implementation. Although Agile has made many important contributions to the requirements management, a mature and comprehensive Agile approach is still lacking, which means that every project or organization should adopt its own suitable approach to Agile requirements management. So having that said, there are some blueprints of recommended Agile requirements management best practices, like I'm going to show you right now, like the Scrum. And the Scrum is also good for transferring the knowledge through better collaboration and interactive information exchange. The team members make a better contribution to a common goal rather than just one single person trying to reach the same goal individually. So this leads to reviewing the requirements needs to be managed as an ongoing process of collaborative meetings, such as the daily or weekly meetings in the Scrum approach. These are like a typical mistake sometimes here is that even teams, members, and people are working together, and the Agile team tries to collect and implement the requirements straight from the stakeholders instead of using the proven methods of elicitation, discovery, and validation. Usually, a project manager who is responsible for the collaboration is needed so the team understands clearly what to do. So in Scrum, you have Scrum Masters and elements like Agile planning sprints and the daily stand-up and the retrospective meetings. Scrum is to set out a short time boxes and is driven by the sprints. Scrum provides a structure that allows teams to deal with the difficulty of the collaboration and the information loss. Using Scrum, product development occurs in small pieces, with each piece building upon previously created pieces. Building products one small piece at a time encourages the creativity and enables the teams to respond to feedback and change. Also to focus and build exactly and only what is needed. However, the fundamental process is incredibly simple, and its core is governed by three primary roles. The first one is the project owner, which is the most important. They have the responsibility to create and manage the product backlog and provide the requirements and all of the necessary steps to fulfill the requirements. They are essential to a successful project. The second one is a Scrum Master, and they are the head of the development team. Cooperate with also the Scrum Master is in cooperation with the product owner. They define the scope of the releases and the sprints, and also create user stories based on the original requirements, and also manage the daily stand-up meetings and the retrospective meetings. And last but not the least, there are the development teams who are actually going to develop what's defined in the user stories and in the development tasks. The graphical visualization is also an important aspect, and you can use this tool for that as well. So they enable you to understand the information much faster and easier. The burn-down chart is a very effective planning tool to interpret the metrics and the velocity, or in other words, the rate of progress of a Scrum team. Then, by presenting the requirements on a visual board called the Kanban board, the relationship the current status, and the responsibilities can be overviewed and managed very easily. Early feedback from the stakeholders can be included and discussed quickly. Applying the Kanban methodology helps developers visualize and manage the workflow by letting you track and move issues and trigger status changes along the defined and agreed workflow. Requirements can be gathered, and the story mapping is an effective way to visualize and update the user stories. Story mapping offers active discussions because they can occur at any time within a group meeting. The more ideas on the board, the less the team has to remember. All tasks can be monitored, measured, and reported by following the Kanban view and checking to do in progress and to verifying completed tasks. The Kanban board also provides a quick overview of balance between the expended resources and work in progress limits. Enhanced flow is ensured. When something is finished, the next highest thing from the backlog can be pulled in to take its place. So even we use Kanban for capturing and prioritizing the requirements and the Scrum method in our development teams. These two, the Scrum and the Kanban, are the most widely used, and also the Scrum and Kanban are both agile approaches and can be used perfectly together for boosting your requirements management. Both have their benefits, and we believe that the combination of these two helps you increase the quality of work just in time, shorten lead time, and helps you continuously improve your process by minimizing waste due to eliminating everything that is not adding value to your customer. So even at our company, we have recognized we had to face major challenges implementing these agile practices. So now I'm just going to share some of our experiments with you. So as you can see here, there are some major challenges for the two, and actually one and the same. Just to point out a few. So for the requirements management and also for the agile practices, traceability is one of the key issues when working with the requirements or in an agile environment in general. It's quite difficult to handle and provide the entire overview of your processes. We are here in Iceland, no agile requirements management, and have developed an ALM software called Codebeamer that uses the agile methods like Scrum and Kanban. In the live demo, I'm going to show you what it looks like in our tool and how you can enforce traceability in your company. Another important issue is, as I've talked about earlier, the collaboration, the communication among all of the stakeholders internally and externally as well. So I want to make sure that information is not lost via emails or in different channels, or we moved all the communication into Codebeamer. Then also the prioritizing large number of requirements is another challenge you might be facing. So when sometimes requirements are more important than others, how do you order them by priority? Or these things, so these are all the things that we are going to get around in the demo. And my last point is here is usually you always want to have a real-time view on requirements, but it isn't easy to provide or having an overview of the status of your requirements in all your different projects. In our ALM tool, this offers a pretty good solution for this, since it's a multi-project tool with which you can work on different projects and also adapting different methodologies, and you can clearly have you can easily have an overview of all of them. So having that said, now we reached the point when we're gonna jump right into the Codebeamer and to the live demonstration. But before we do that, let me just ask you a couple of questions. And the first one is, if you are looking for a tool to manage your requirements, testing, or the entire development lifecycle, or specifically looking for a solution with which you would like to manage your agile projects. Now just leave it open for a few more seconds. I see that many of you are coming from, you're looking for mainly to cover the entire portfolio in an agile way in an entire development lifecycle. Thanks for your answers. And here comes the other one. Basically, if you are using any of the above mentioned methodologies like the Agile Scrum, or you would like to switch from the traditional waterfall to Scrum, there you can see the options that you have. Okay, thank you so much. So now I'm just gonna jump right into Codebeamer and give you a short live demonstration. So now I'm already in a Scrum project. What you see right now is the project wiki, where I defined what this project is about. And in this very first page, you can see a brief discussion about what Agile is and how you can manage certain things in Codebeamer. And from here, I'm just going to switch to the tracker view, where I already have implemented my tracker structure. So on the left-hand side, you can see the various different work items. So I'm going to start with the requirements, and from the requirements, I'm going to derive the user stories. And moving on from the user stories, I'm actually going to define the development tasks. So what I'm going to do here in this overview already, you see that what kind of different work items I'm going to work with. And also there you see the releases in which I'm going to manage the development of the work items. And also I have some test cases which are tend to verify my requirements and user stories, that I'm actually developing what the customer asks for, and if the quality met the standard that I set for this development. So for here, I'm just going to open up as a first step my requirements tracker here, where I'm going to see various different items. So I see on the left-hand side a tree structure navigator bar, which is already showing me some requirements. So for example, there's a navigation system requirement. You can see the content of this requirement, and also on the right hand side, as I selected this requirement, some properties like the business value that I can select and easily edit online, the type of that, which is now functional requirements, and all the others are listed here. So now we have already the requirements imported, but note that anytime you can create manually these requirements in the tool, or you can import that from various different sources, from a Word file, from Excel sheet, and also from other formats as well. So this is the point when you already have your requirements or defined in the system. So first, I'm just going to show you how you can build up the model from requirements through the user stories down to the to the tasks, to the development tasks, and also in the meantime how you can cover your requirements by the test cases. So first of all, if you ever click on this plus, this is how you can further derive down your items, and also here you can generate the test case anytime related to these requirements. And also here, I can switch my view to the user stories. And also in the user stories, I already have defined some user stories. There you can see that. So this is a pretty simple description of my user stories, where I see that as a user, I want to have a software in my car which is easy to use. So this is not a complex definition of that, but this is then which gonna get further detailed in the development tasks that I derive from my user stories. And when I derive this task from a user story, you will see that in the subject field, the system will populate the subject field, and we store the traceability link. So this is my task. So this is my task. I just copy that also to the description of this one. I save it. And now you can see that if I open up this plus as an incoming reference, I see that I just created a webinar task which is linked to this user story. And also parallel, I can define and generate a test case which will verify my user story. So here, this can be user acceptance test case or whatever test case that you would like to work with. But the main thing here that with one simple click, you can create this test case. If I ever click on this plus again as an incoming reference, now I see that here's the test case derived from my user story. I can open up this test case in a new tab, and where I see this is currently an empty test case, but now as the workflows can be connected to each other, and as long as I have a requirement which or a test case which is in status new, I can really define that I can really define that I cannot proceed in the workflow of a user story to a next status unless I test it first. So if I switch back to user stories, then I will be able to see this. So again, here in the incoming references, I see also my test case and the task. There is a workflow in place in the background, so I can visualize the workflow diagram. And this is the workflow that my user story gonna go through. And as I have already set up this model, I have the traceability, I would like to get back to the trackers overview. And I would like to visualize how it has been built up. So I click on the Traceability Browser, and I would like to visualize first the requirements, and then as a next step, I would like to see all the related user stories. If now I hit the Show the Dependencies, this is where you see that I have several different requirements, and from these are the user stories that I defined. And I can also go one step further to visualize the related tasks as a third dimension. And here I can see that related to these user stories, I define several different tasks. I can scroll down. Here we can see, here I have a clear overview of this. So this is the traceability that we provide. And also I can further expand this visualization with the test. So I can see, okay, I would like to see also the test cases which are verifying the requirements in this case. And I can also add next to the tasks, I would like to see again the test cases which are verifying the user stories. So when I add that to the visualization, you will see that, okay, there's also a test case which verifying this specific requirement, but also here related to this related to the user stories, I can also see the test cases which are verifying those user stories. So there are several different possibilities to visualize this traceability, and we can create one centralized view to overview it all. Also, please note that we not only provide the traceability between your requirements, user story, and the test cases, and also the tasks. We also provide the consistency check. So let's take this example that we have a user story here called, as a user, I want to have a car which is safe. And related to that, there's a development task, define quality attributes. So now if I just open this task up in a new tab, and I get into the details view, I can edit this, this task. And here in the subject field where I specify the traceability links, I can easily specify that, okay, in this list, as I'm continuously working on my requirements on my user stories, I would like to see if I need to make any changes in the derived items. So I can mark one task as a suspect. So this should propagate the suspected links. And this will basically end up in a suspected option. Now I'm just going to save it. And I'm going to come back to the traceability browser. So this was what I was talking about. I'm just going to hit the show dependencies again. And now you see that this task can be triggered the suspected links. So this means if I ever change the user story, I will have to check out this task again, whether I have to adapt those changes or not. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm just simply going to edit the user story. So I'm just going to change some properties here, like the priority, and I'm going to add the change to its description. I'm going to save it. And when I come back to this traceability browser, I hit show the dependencies. Now this item got suspected. So this means if I open this up again, I will have to get rid of this suspected link. So here I see that. I will have to click on that, and basically with this one, I'm gonna acknowledge that I reviewed and accepted the connection, so I didn't have to make any changes here. I got rid of this suspected link. I get into the history, and now you can see that I change also, so I get rid of these suspected links right now. So this is the way we not only enforce the traceability, but also the consistency in this way. As I've shown you already, that real quick, I'm just going to come back to the tracker's overview. So now you see there are the requirements, user stories, and tasks, and some of my user stories and requirements are already covered by the test cases. So I'm just going to come back and open up my requirements tracker. Again, if I select one requirement and I click here on the plus, I can generate a test case which will verify these requirements. So earlier I defined some test cases already, and we have a separate option, and you can see this microscope icon. This is for the test coverage. Here I can easily visualize my test coverage. There first as a tabular overview, how many requirements are covered by the test cases, and I can also expand the view and visualize, okay, these are the requirements that are actually covered, these are the test cases, and here I can visualize and drill down to the actual test execution results, and in the coverage column I will see the test execution result of mine. So in this way, you will have a clear channel and visibility from the requirements to the testing and how they are tested. And this not only goes for the requirements, but also for the user stories. And to manage all this in an agile way, we provide the release management functionality, where you can easily plan and manage the delivery of your requirements, user stories, tasks covered by the test cases. So for that, I'm just going to switch to the releases. In the releases, you can see that first we have a development stream for this electric city car systems release 1. I open this up. There you can see, if I click on the plus, I can see that there are 3 separate sub-sprints. Related to every single of these, I can see an overview of my progression. So I can plan with story points. I can see the open items and how many of them are actually developed. And I can also plan in hours. So here I always transparent in my development. Now I can click on the release Gantt chart as well. I know this is not the agile terminology, but here this is also showing you the clear view and the transparent visualization of the progress of your development. So you got your major release there. You see the overall progression is 18%. You can see the time scale and all the different sprints. This is fairly easy here to reset the date for the sprint, because if I just double click here, I can specify the start and end date, or on the user interface, I can easily drag and drop and adjust the time. From here, if I ever switch if I would like to plan my releases, I simply have to click on this ruler icon, and this is the release planner. There you see the hierarchical structure of my releases, and also here you have access to a product backlog. And you not only have access to this product backlog, but also you can work with various different development teams, and also you can see the individual commitment of your teams if there is any. And if I further scroll down, there you can see the relations, how if you're using any coloring convention, you can mark one single requirement with one color and all the related user stories in this list. So you can clearly visualize the dependencies. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to get into the product backlog. And from the product backlog, let's say I would like to plan my user stories. So when I select the user stories, there I see the list of user stories that are not assigned to any of the release and sprints. I select one on the right hand side, I can immediately see its content. And first of all, I would like to assign this to a team. Okay, this is related to the developer team. And I also would like to assign that to the first release. Now I just edit that. Here you can see immediately that the number of items included in the sprint increased, and there you can see the overall number of story points. And from here I switch and filter to see the scope of this one sprint 1.1. I'm gonna get rid of this filter here. Now I see the full content of this sprint. And what I'm gonna do right now, that I just edit this user story, and I would like to move it further up to the top. So this have to be with the highest priority. So now, whenever your developer log into the system and start working on their daily task, they will see clearly that if they ever get to this view, to the Kanban board visualization, and they apply the streamline, so they can see what their responsibilities are. There you can see which items are assigned to the developers, and here they can easily start the work by moving the items from one column to another based on the workflow settings. And also your team will kept in the loop, because upon every single changes, the system will send a notification to the relevant stakeholders. So and also for the project managers and for the product managers and scrum masters, this is essential information that you can also see how your team's capacities, and you can apply these work in progress limits to the various different sections. So that is for the visualization. And also when it comes to the testing, so now you can see here various different user stories, requirements, and all the different items related to a sprint. We also provide the overview of the test coverage. So I click on the test coverage, and there you can see if your requirements are covered by the test cases, if they are tested, how well they are tested, and what was the test execution results, if there's any. And here you can clearly overview these set of informations. All right. So just to recap, what I've shown you in this short demonstration is that how you can transition to the agile requirements management way, because I've shown you how you can work with the requirements, how you can drive those down to user stories and to tasks, and what are the main principles can guide this transition. You can also start with so the way we started this agile approach internally at Intland, that we started with a basic and simple approach, and we gradually evolved our practices. So this is what we suggest you to do as well, and try to eliminate all the impediments while moving forward, and integrate all agile methods, and establish the requirements practices. And last but not the least, establish a strong tool support with a holistically integrated ALM application lifecycle management platform like the Codebeamers. So right now, this is what I planned for this live demonstration and for this webinar. So soon I'm going to open up the question and answers session. But before I do that, I would like to ask you if you would like to receive further information about this, about our solution Codebeamer, and if you would be interested in getting in touch in the future. So I'm just leave this panel open for a while. And also, again, just to remind you, we are here at the Embedded World in Nuremberg. So if you have time, or you are located somewhere close to Nuremberg, we are glad to see you in person as well, and to give you a personalized live demonstration. Okay, so thank you for your answers. And I also have one last question. What is your opinion about today's webinar? Did you find it useful or worthwhile, or it doesn't really bring any new information to you? So I really appreciate your feedback in this regard, because I can further improve our future webinars as well. All right. Thank you very much for your attention, participation, and all the answers that you gave me. And now, please feel free to type in your questions, and I will try to answer all of those if you have any. And also, if you're interested in some specific use cases that would fit for your requirements, we can also make it put it offline, and we can have a discussion about what you would like to see. So again, you can type in your questions to the panel on the right hand side. All right. If you don't have any questions right now, I would like to thank you for your attention. Please know that the recording of this webinar will be available soon after I terminate this session. And also, once you're there, please feel free to check out our other online content. Yeah, so we actually have a question about whether we plan to have a webinar to explain the Agile practices, which is related to Agile planning. So I have to look it up, but we can go together to our to our website where we can see and check out our upcoming webinars. But also we provide several different content which are downloadable from our website. So I'm just gonna get into our website, upcoming webinars and events, and there you can check out our upcoming webinars. Actually, we're gonna have soon enough at the end of March the implementing Agile and Water for hybrid, the theory and the reality, where we're also gonna have a short introduction into the Agile planning processes. But also, if you get any other questions, you can just directly come to us. Okay, let's see if we get any other questions. So Codebeamer is used by many kind of different organizations. So I get a question, who are using Codebeamer? So I can actually show you a reference slide, which is, so Codebeamer is used mainly by companies coming from the highly regulated industries. So there are the medical, automotive, aviation, defense, and the high technology. So you can see that this is used by large enterprises and also by small companies. And so the scalability is not an issue. And also Codebeamer can be adapted to the waterfall way of development and also to the agile terms. But when it comes to these information, please also reach out to our sales department, that they can give you more information about how you can get to know more about Codebeamer. So we are present in the States as well, and also all over Europe. And for that, you can just visit our website for more information and for contact information as well. All right. Do you have any other questions? All right. Then again, thank you for your participation, for your time this afternoon or this morning if you're coming from America. And I hope to see you again soon in our upcoming webinars, and perhaps meet you in person at the Embedded World in Nuremberg. So thank you. Bye-bye.